United States, India, and Europe. Let's know more about Heartfulness meditation. Please welcome Joshua Pollock with a big round of applause.
Hello. So I see that this session has been billed as a talk about meditation on the heart. But actually my real intention is to have everybody meditate. Okay, so this is really going to be a practical demonstration, and we're all going to meditate, try Heartfulness meditation. And of course I'll also speak to you to satisfy certain people. And, you know, because the reason is that this is something which is beyond theory. This is something which is beyond philosophy. Philosophy is wonderful, but it has no application after a certain point. This is a practical path, right? And, you know, this is something where belief and even faith have no meaning, because we have to experience something for ourselves, and only after that do we believe in it. We can't ask for the reverse, where we say, believe in this, and then you believe it in and wait and wait and wait and wait for some experience to happen. This is the opposite. So here you have to experience something for yourself. That's what this is all about. So this is really why I would prefer to give you an experience of meditation than just to talk about it and try to convince you. Your own experience will be what convinces you or doesn't convince you. I'll just share, you know, this is something which I've been doing for 15 years, 16 years, something like that. And, you know, I first encountered Heartfulness meditation in the US. I'm from the US. And I started it there. And you know, my first experience just sort of moved me so much that I just wanted to continue it. You know, I came back, I met a trainer, you know, and he showed me how to meditate. And then I came back the next day. I liked it so much. And we meditated again, and we meditated a third day. And what I found was that every experience of meditation was different. I had somehow thought that it could be like a pill, a medication. You take this pill, it makes you feel peaceful. You take it the next time, it produces the same effect. But no, it wasn't like that at all. Instead, it was like a seed which gets planted. And now, this seed, when it's nurtured, starts to grow. And you start to realize what kind of plant this seed is turning into as you go along. And there's daily changes, and there's daily growth. And that first inner state that you experience starts to unfold and expand. So this is an ongoing journey, and I'm still following it. I'm still finding out where this leads. This is leading to the unknown, in a sense, you know? So I started this meditation in 2002. And it's funny, people often ask, what has it done for you? How has it transformed you? I have to admit that there are still things that can annoy me in life, you know? And there's still things, sometimes there's still worries. But I tell you, there's a big difference though. The big difference is that even though I may have some momentary worry or something that's disrupting me in some way, at a certain level, at another level, it's as if I'm floating free. You know, a lot of the times we get wrapped up in our problems. We get locked into our problems. One worry, and we're completely locked into that worry. We can think of nothing else. And this is normal. But I think one of the effects of meditation is that though you may still get a worry, that worry, you are now somehow free from it. You're floating free somewhere else. Though that worry is still there, it's a small thing. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't lock you into it. So there's some freedom that comes. This is a path that gives you more and more freedom, I think. People talk about peace. People talk about happiness. We just had a session on happiness in the other hall. And I think that these qualities, they are associated with that innermost part of ourselves. You can call it your essence. You can call it Atma. You can call it the soul. I think that when we're looking for happiness and when we're looking for peace and such things, it's not so easy to find them externally in life. Sometimes they come. We experience happiness accidentally and we lose it accidentally. We experience peace accidentally and we lose it accidentally. That kind of happiness and peace is not worth talking about. Everybody gets it and everybody loses it. But what kind of happiness and peace and silence can we experience which is permanent in some way? I think that's something that's worth speaking about. In the external world, we tend to find that everything is in constant flux. In this material world, where there is the limitation of time, where everything is always changing, where everything is always moving. That's the nature of the universe. Motion. And therefore, there's no stability in life. There's little stability in life. And there's lots of change. If we're going to find perfect balance, if we're going to find serenity, stillness, we can't rely on external circumstances so much. On the other hand, within us, the core of our being, that which we call the soul, its nature is stillness. Its nature is peace. Its nature is bliss. Okay, so we have these two opposites now, these two poles. On the outside, there's only movement and instability. On the inside, there's perfect balance. There's stillness. There's silence. And in between those two things, you have consciousness, right? You have the soul on the inside, the body on the outside, and between those two things you have consciousness. And consciousness is where we experience everything. Consciousness is where we having our thoughts. It's where we're having our emotions. It's where we react to things. It's where we experience the body. In fact, it's all with consciousness. So when we're trying to transform ourselves, it's really consciousness that we're trying to transform, the place where we experience life. Now, to the extent that we're completely oriented to the outer world, the external world, our consciousness will reflect that instability, which is, of course, native to the external world. Our consciousness will reflect that constant fluctuation, that constant movement. If, on the other hand, our consciousness, our attention rather, is oriented towards that Atman within us, then consciousness will reflect the qualities associated with that soul. Qualities, peace, stillness, bliss even. So this is all about turning ourselves within. That's why this is yoga. Because in yoga, you must have heard of Rishi Patanjali, right? In the Yoga Sutras. And there we see that the fifth step, Patanjali's fifth step, is pratyahara. That means withdraw, turn within. And this is what we do whenever we meditate. We close our eyes because this gate of the senses, we have to block these gates and put our attention within ourselves. But everybody finds that this is so hard. That's where everybody gets stuck. That's where everybody struggles. So, how to get over this struggle? Because when you sit and you meditate, most beginners, they just say, my thoughts are bothering me. My memories are bothering me. I'm having so many disturbances. External disturbances, fine. Internal disturbances, that's something else. That's a challenge. But I found something very interesting when I first started this, because I'd meditated before in various other ways. And I struggled just like everybody else. And I think the first time I ever meditated, I sat with a trainer. He didn't do anything. He just said, meditate. I said, okay. He sat across from me. Somehow, my meditation went very, very deep in a way that I hadn't experienced before. And I didn't understand why at the time. But I did realize that somehow this difficulty of the thoughts and inner disturbances while meditating somehow was the trainer's burden, not mine. So I said, I don't need to worry about this anymore. You know? And I want to give you a demonstration, in fact. I want to meditate along with you now. And I'll tell you how to do it, and you see what this is about for yourself, you know? This will give you a hint, at least, of what kind of journey this is. I think you have to be very careful when choosing a spiritual path. We see so many examples of gurus and charlatans, and all this stuff is in the news these days. We have to use our hearts when selecting a path that's right for us. And if you're doing something and it gives you a feeling of heaviness inside, a feeling of doubt inside, kind of an anxiety, then you should just not do it at all. You should move away from that thing. You know? If, on the other hand, it gives you a sense of peace, then you can take that as a good sign and say, let me explore further. You know? But when we get this heaviness inside and this heaviness of doubt when trying a new path, we should take that as a sign and move away immediately. So we should always try to sensitize ourselves to these feelings that come from within, from the heart. And these will guide us. You know. So here we meditate on the heart. This is heartfulness meditation. And not only do we meditate on the heart, but we meditate on the idea, we meditate on the presence of light in the heart, in fact. We meditate on the presence of light within the heart. And not just any light. We can give this light a very special quality. Let's understand it in a unique way. You can even think of it as light from the source. You can think of it as divine light, even. Something unique. Not just like light from a light bulb. You know, that won't have much meaning. Now, what do we do when we meditate? Do we close our eyes and visualize light inside? No. This is not a visualization technique. This is not a light that you can see, so we don't try to see it. No, this light is something that we can only feel. This is about feeling, not about seeing. That's why we're meditating with the heart. The heart is where we feel things. That's where we feel love. So here it's a very simple method, because the ultimate aim which we're trying to achieve is the simplest thing. So we have to use a simple method. We only close our eyes and gently rest our attention on the heart. And now what do? Now we wait. We simply wait. We wait to see what experience we will have, what state will gradually emerge during the course of our meditation. So that's what we do. We put our attention on the heart, we close our eyes, and we wait to see what emerges, what happens. It's a very subtle thing. So what I'll do is I'll guide you through a relaxation process. Verbally, I'll guide you. I'll say, now you can relax your legs and your arms, and we'll go through the whole body. And then when your body is relaxed, then I'll say to please start meditation, and we'll do that. We'll put our attention on the heart and see what we experience, see what we feel. And this will last about 15 minutes, and I'll tell you when it's done. And we'll sit, when we meditate, we'll sit silently. Okay, we'll sit still. And afterwards, we'll just sit quietly again for another minute or so we don't break or fracture that feeling that we've created. Okay? I'll ask you to please switch off these phones. Okay? I also have to switch off mine, so it doesn't ring and disturb us when we meditate. Yes? He's asking, when I say put your attention on the heart, what does that mean? Does that mean we imagine a picture of the heart? No. It means your heart. Where your heart is in your body, here on the left side, you just put your attention there. You feel it. You can even physically feel it. You know, if you can't feel your heart specifically, it's good enough just to become aware of your chest area and to see what happens. I hope that answers your question. Good. Okay, please close your eyes. Please close your eyes very softly and gently. And bring your attention to your toes. You can move your toes, wiggle your toes, and now relax them. Sit in a comfortable pose. It's okay to rest your back. That's all. But kindly remain with your eyes closed for another minute or so to see how you feel now that meditation is finished. And as you feel ready, you can gradually open your eyes. This is an effect that takes hold a little gradually. Okay, you feel something during meditation. Then after meditation is much more important, more significant. How you feel after meditation is finished is more significant than whatever you experience during meditation. And you may even find the effect continuing to unfold far after meditation is done, some hours later, tonight. So I would request you to all pay a little attention to how you feel inside yourselves for the remainder of the day, to see how this takes hold. Like that. Yes?
I got a question. In the beginning, I had a million thoughts running through my mind. And eventually, I tried to sort of concentrate. And I went to the other extreme, I dozed off. Oh, okay, you want me to repeat myself? In the beginning, there were a million things running through my mind. And then I tried to shut them off. And then I went to the other extreme, and I dozed off.
Okay. Everybody hear his comment? No. He said initially, there are a million things running through his mind. But then somehow, he went to the opposite extreme. He dozed off. I wonder if any of you had similar experiences today. Yeah. Interesting.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So meditation is a concentration or deconcentration?
Okay.
Other day I was attending a seminar on how to keep your heart healthy, and gentleman said you have to avoid triglycerin and dairy products. So what kind of your dietary recommendation from your side to keep our heart in good shape?
Okay. I'll come back to that in a minute. I just want to address these gentlemen's comments. Now, a lot of people think they won't be able to meditate because of the thoughts which people are experiencing. However, this state of samadhi, which everybody has spoken about so much, this balanced state, is something which resembles the first stage of samadhi. Have people here heard of the state of samadhi before? I think a lot of people will have heard of this. Okay. The first stage of samadhi resembles the sleeping state. It resembles the sleeping. It's very difficult to tell the difference when you're in it because the thoughts go away. You just sort of lose. It's almost like being asleep. You doze off, right? And how do you tell the difference between it and did I just fall asleep or was I in deep meditation in the samadhi-like state? And the way you can tell the difference is if you pay close attention to how you feel afterwards. If in the middle of the day you just fall asleep in a chair, I mean, we were only meditating for 10, 12 minutes. How easy is it to fall asleep in a chair in a room full of people in 10 to 12 minutes? So you see how you're feeling afterwards. Normally, if you fell asleep in this kind of situation, I think there'd be some heaviness or a little grogginess. But if it's a samadhi-like state, then there shouldn't be that same grogginess. There should be a feeling of deep relaxation involved. So this is how to understand whether you've been sleeping or you've actually gone into some sort of samadhi-like state, which according to traditions is the last of Rishi Patanjali's steps in the Yoga Sutras and should be very difficult to attain. But to attain a similar state in the first few minutes of your first experience should make you wonder what will happen tomorrow or next year if you continue. So you actually, there's various stages of samadhi which you can enter into. And then beyond that, there's much, much, much more beyond the samadhi state. It's not the final destination. Sometimes in meditation, we'll also have an experience where we don't go into the samadhi-like state. And instead, those same thoughts which were disturbing us at the beginning, well, they'll continue to disturb us even at the end. It's a funny thing. This meditation is something where, we harbor a lot inside of us. We have all of our past experiences and the seeds of so many thoughts and emotions, right? Now, if we're to become completely pure inside, simplicity, if we were to embody that state, then all of this will have to come out of us. Now, when we meditate, it's as if we are now opening a can of soda, and the can has been shaken up. We've been shaken up our whole lives. So now you open that, and all the fizz, right, all the carbon rushes to the surface. And those are all those things we've been harboring inside, all those bubbles. So our meditation, we say meditation is terrible. As thoughts, disturbances, all that fizz rushing to the surface. But then, afterwards, our state will have changed. Because afterwards, if you leave that soda bottle open, all the fizz is gone. You don't like that in soda. You say it's gone flat, it's no good. But in our consciousness, it's definitely positive. Now there's stillness. So anything that happens is good, actually. Now, I was just asked about dietary restrictions. This gentleman asked me about dietary restrictions for meditation. There are best practices, but nobody will restrict you. So in that sense, there are no dietary restrictions. I would say that all which is unnatural in us, in terms of our lifestyle and habits, falls off, drops off in the most natural way in this meditation. You don't have to try. Yes, I became a vegetarian eventually. I was born in the northern part of the US. No vegetarians are living there. And I also wasn't a vegetarian, but I became one, not because I thought I'd better eat vegetarian food if I practice yoga. No, just because interest was lost. So in a natural way, from the inside out, we become transformed.
Yes, how is this different from like Buddhist Zen and Hindu Vipassana?
Okay, I see we're out of time. Let me be very, very brief. Yeah. We're out of time, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Let your experience be the judge of it. Okay? There are differences. Only your experience will tell. There are features which are unique. One is something called yogic transmission that you won't find anywhere. Another thing is a cleaning method by which we remove the residue of our past experiences. These two things are like magic, and they help us so much. Yeah. Sorry? I stick to practice. Well, I'm here because I've written a book called The Heartfulness Way. We have in our tradition, we have a number of books. There's a book by, this whole heartfulness approach began nearby here. Not so nearby, but in UP, in the town of Fatehgarh, and also in Shahjahanpur by two gentlemen who coincidentally had the same name, Sri Ramchandra. They've both written amazing books. Yeah. No, Sri Ramchandra. There are many books, such as Reality at Dawn, but you can't find them so many places. This is the first book in our tradition, The Heartfulness Way, which has actually been released to the general public. But the other books are also there if you search for them.
Joshua, where can you get more information on heartfulness besides
Yeah, heartfulness.org. Okay? Heartfulness.org. Then you can, this training in heartfulness is always free. Nobody will ever charge you for it. You can look up on heartfulness.org where there's a place called Heart Spots. You can find a place near you. You can find a trainer near you, someone who can coach you and show you the ropes of this practice. Yeah. I'll talk to you afterwards. Yeah. Yes, in the previous happiness session, I mentioned that there's another practice aside from meditation called cleaning, by which we can remove so many things from ourselves, tendencies, behaviors, emotions, that residual emotions, burden from the past. We do this practice, which you can learn from a trainer. It's also in this book, The Heartfulness Way, and we do this on a daily basis, a few minutes at the end of each day. It's very helpful. Leaves you feeling so light. Thank you. Well, I'll just be here. I recommend you go to heartfulness.org because I'm nothing special. I'm a trainer like so many other thousands of trainers who are teaching this method. And you can find someone just like me who's nearby your house, I'm sure. You know? You can also email me. My email is my name, joshua.pollock@heartfulness.org. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, audience, for being part of this session.